turn it over to you to kind of give a, like a 5-minute big scope, and then the board will ask you some questions.
No problem. I do have, for my applicant, he did call in if it's possible, and I wasn't sure if he could call in through the speaker that we have in the middle.
If, the actual applicant himself was in out of state.
Yeah, he's in Florida, his mother had surgery.
Florida, so he can call in and answer any questions if you want to do that. So if you want to, do you have a number?
I do have the number here.
Go ahead.
860.
If you want to know what.
Yeah, I'd say.
227 1985. This is Doug DeMoney.
He may have to sit tight for a couple minutes while we go through some of the housekeeping items we have to do.
Hi, Doug. This is Brian Sensabaugh. I'm here with the IDA.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So they're going to start. We're going to probably put you on mute for a little while, and then when we get to our matter, we'll unmute you as needed. Okay.
All right, very good. Okay,
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so,
We're ready, yep.
Okay. Morning, everyone.
Good morning. 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 Call the IDA meeting to order. Steve, roll call.
okay, Tim Riley.
Yep.
Raj Amar.
Here.
Howard Hellman.
Here.
Okay.
Action.
The action items, authorizing resolution for ACG acquisitions. This is that Montebello project that we induced last month. We had the public hearing. There was no public comment. So someone wanted to consider making a motion to authorize this, unless there's any questions.
Just refresh my memory, which one is that?
This is the warehouse distribution facility that's.
Oh, right, by
Umbrella
on
Boulevard.
Umbrella Boulevard. Okay, I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. Tim Riley,
Yes.
Raj Amar,
Yes.
Howard Hellman.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, next, Cambridge Security Seals. As you know, Cambridge Security Seals is doing an expansion. This was a prior IDA project, which has concluded, and they are looking to do an expansion. They're a manufacturer of security seals that are used in international shipping and such. They're planning a physical expansion and buying new equipment. So we had a public hearing. There was no public comment. So with that said, unless there's any questions.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay.
All in favor?
Okay.
Officially, what's the roll call?
Tim Riley, yes. Raj Amar,
Yes.
Howard Hellman.
Yes.
Okay, next. I guess we can take a
Oh,
moment if you.
Right, could you please? Thank you.
Okay,
You
next
want
I,
to just do the RCP grant part?
that's table.
Okay, so that's easy.
Okay, they've withdrawn that request, RCD department, to have a pre-closing. They intend, Lino had talked to them, they're gonna go right to,
Right to closing.
Right to
They
closing.
requested pre-sale closing tax. They were authorized back in March. So we're now in almost November. So in speaking with council, they said they're just gonna opt to close as opposed to doing pre-sale. So,
Do it all.
yep.
Okay.
You guys have the floor.
so let me just introduce the project. This is the Haverstraw Marina, that we're all familiar with it. It's a town-owned facility. The town is looking to sell that facility, so it'll be owned privately. So the applicant is looking for sales tax, I believe mortgage recording tax as well, a pilot, looking to invest in it to upgrade the facility. With that said, we have representatives from the company that will give a little more overview of what their plans are.
All right. Thank you very much. My name is Brian Sensabaugh. I'm an attorney with Darren Steinmetz here on behalf of the applicant SHM Haverstraw LLC. They commonly operate as safe harbor marinas. Here with me today, I have Doug DeMoney. He is the vice president of the company and representative. SH Marinas, the applicant's parent company, is currently negotiating a contract to purchase the property, Safe Harbor Marina. This property is located at 600, I believe everyone knows, but just 600 Beach Road. It's commonly known as Havistraw Marina. And the applicant is before you today seeking both a pilot as well as sales and use tax exemption. We will be purchasing in cash. I do not believe at this time they'll seek a mortgage recording tax exemption. The property, it is located in north of an opportunity zone that's been identified, as well as an economically distressed area. And some of the benefits they're requesting do come with opportunities for increased employment as well as spending in the area. With regard to the current structure, I know there's been some questions on this, and it is entirely due to my fault for putting the word pilot within our letter. So I'll just jump straight into that and try to address all the questions that I know that everyone does have. The property is currently owned by the town of Havistraw, and they lease the property back to the Havistraw Marina Corporation. This lease was entered into in 1977, and there are three components of the payment of that lease. It is not, in fact, a pilot, but it is kind of structured in a way that is a pilot. So that's where the confusion came in. So I would just entirely revoke the word pilot out of my letter, and I can send it an amended letter if you'd like. But the way that's set up currently is that there are three payments. There's a set payment fee that they have to pay. They pay a percentage of their revenues that they generate on the site, as well as there is a parcel that was created specifically for the use of putting an assessed value on a piece of property and applying what would otherwise be taxes to that. So they do receive letters annually that narrow down like what the taxes would have been based on that assessment, and they make a payment based upon that value. All in all, that does add up to the value I did put in the within the application, which is about $382,000 for 2021. As of right now, because it is a lease, the lease will be terminated once there is a new owner that comes on. They are looking to therefore extend some level of benefit by receiving some benefits to the IDA so that they can make improvements to the site. The site is in poor condition. There is significant improvements that need to be done to the site. And as a result, they are looking for a sales and use tax exemption that would, in our estimate, be around $2.3 million to $2.4 million in savings. Those sales and use tax exemptions go towards purchases of the property that include, they're doing full replacement of all bulkheads, and I believe almost all the piles, as well as the docks. They are going to be what I've passed around to you is copies of plans that we do have. The second page of those plans is the current conditions. Third page of the plans is what we are proposing. So they are proposing additional dock areas. There will be more dock space, but it will be set up in a different format. Part of the application, I did include a joint application form that we submitted to the DEC, so there are photos within that showing what the status of the area is. There are complaints online. Safe Harbor Marina they are a national brand. They are existing nationwide, primarily on the East Coast, but as well as down in Texas, some on the West Coast as well. I believe even in Puerto Rico, they do have one location, and they want to bring this up to those standards.
There's more, sorry for interrupting. There's more docks in the proposed plan than in the existing plan?
I believe the total dock space that will be available is going to be larger in total. And possibly it's just the size of the dock, but it is the total square footage of the dock.
It does look smaller.
Yeah, it's total square footage of the dock. There should be.
Brian?
Yes.
It's a net decrease in the actual numbers of slips,
Okay.
but that is also because the current slips as they exist were designed back in the late 70s, early 80s, and they're not wide enough for current vessels. So therefore you'd have a net decrease in the number of slips.
Okay.
How many slips are you going to be losing? Or
Well, actually, we're going to be probably a slight increase over what currently exists, but I say that with an asterisk because a portion of the marina dock system was lost in Hurricane Sandy and was never replaced by the prior operator.
There's a restaurant on site, isn't there? Huh?
Yeah,
There is a restaurant on site that will remain, tents will remain that are on site.
And that's part of this sale?
That's part of that, the property underneath that, that is part of the sale. Correct.
The Hudson Water Club is the name of the restaurant. That's up there.
I believe they operate under a ground lease for the property. So some of the other items that we're also looking for sales and use tax exemptions, that does include, I don't have it written down here. So we also are looking for to build a boat storage and service building, expanding some of the existing facilities, including the marina bathroom facilities. They are also looking to purchase a boat hoist, which for a 50-ton boat, as well as the drive lift that it operates upon. That is a significant purchase that in total that ends up being close to $1 million in purchases. But that will allow for additional servicing on the site that's not already currently available. And that will hopefully increase the number of patrons that do visit the site. In addition to that, with regard to employment, what we've listed as employment figures, we do have currently 13 full-time equivalent and 14 part-time equivalent on the site. We expect to grow the total number of employees by 10 within the next 3 years, looking at 17 full-time equivalent, 20 part-time equivalent, and that's entirely attributed to the anticipated increase in level activity on the site. So what we do have in terms of production positions, we did list that generally filling out the form, but that does include marine mechanics, service technicians, detailers, boat painters, hauling and launching crew. Part-time positions typically include the dock attendants, fuel dock attendants, and lifeguards on the site. These numbers that we did provide do not include any of the 4 sub-tenants on the property and their employment. As you mentioned, there was the restaurant, so we have the Hudson Water Club that's on site. There's also Patino Canvas, which is a canvas repair shop. It has approximately 4 employees. Greater Hudson, which is a boat dealer and sailing lesson company with approximately 3 employees. And Norman Doe Associates, an environmental consulting firm. I believe they have 6 to 8 employees, but that's just an estimate. All subtenants, except for Norman Doe, will benefit from the granting of financial benefits, just in terms of the increased activity on the site. So there is a possibility that may increase salaries, may increase the number of people that may be employed. So we do understand that there is and I understand there's a retail exception under general municipal law. We do believe that this falls under a tourism destination exception for that, under Article 18A. Safe Harbor, with already this operation is on Hudson River, you do attract visitors coming up and down the Hudson. But we do anticipate that with these improvements, we will attract an increased number of boaters coming in and out of the area.
Do you know how much it is to rent the slip now? And after, if the purchase goes through and the renovations, what the anticipated price for those slips would be?
Doug, can you speak to that?
Good handle.
Apologies, I've got you muted because I got myself muted because I'm in the airport. Sorry, could you repeat that question?
What is the cost for a slip now? And do you have a estimate how much that slip would be after the renovations are made?
The average slip size in the marina will increase so that we can accommodate some larger boats, which we cannot currently accommodate. The slip rates vary with boat size, but on average, rates would increase. Any miles we've built with 4 to 5% increases per year on average.
My concern isn't with the new slips that are going to be made in the sense that those boats aren't already in the marina. It's the existing boat owners who have probably been there for 20, 30 years, some of them. Is there any relief going to be given to them?
No, they would be treated as any other boat owner, as the improvements are made. They will benefit from the improvements Safe Harbor has got a new program in place, which they will benefit from, which is the ability to dock free at any other Safe Harbor marina, along with a new program we're introducing, which is called Fuel at Cost. These are some amenities that we have put in place as Safe Harbor has grown.
Is there any other safe harbor marinas within the metropolitan area?
Just on the other side of Manhattan, we are over in Port Washington. We are over in Glen Cove. We're in Mamaroneck, and we're up in Stamford. And then we go a little bit further east. And then we have a couple of properties up on Lake Champlain.
Okay, thank you.
What's the, if any of you guys know, what percentage of the marina is presently occupied?
It's at about a 65% occupancy level right now.
Just speaking candidly, I just have a concern that we would be providing an advantage to your marina, thus causing some reverse competition, if you will, or not fair competition for other marinas in the Haverstraw-Stony Point area.
Currently the benefits that are available to Safe Harbor members far away what any of the other local marinas can provide, and that's strictly a benefit of our size. The bigger issue that an investment into the dock system has to be made, or it would be just a matter of us choosing not to operate there, because under the existing conditions, there is just so much negativism about the marina. Boaters would enjoy the improvement greatly, and with the benefits that would be added, they would have no problem with price increases, and but let's put it this way: there's one marina in Stony Point is closing down to be converted to condominiums. So there's going to become a shortage of, or not a shortage, but there's going to be a reduced number of slips in the area.
Steve, have you talked, who is this, the village of Haverstraw?
No, this is the town, it's not in the
Have you
village.
talked to the town about this at all?
Yeah.
And what is their,
Their take on this,
Yes, it was a take on this.
they're very anxious to get this project going forward.
they want to get rid,
I had a long talk with Howie Phillips about this, and he's looking, they're looking to get this on the tax rolls. They're looking to kind of get out of the marina business per se, and to raise, in his words, to raise the bar as far as the quality of people utilizing that facility, as far as the boats, the size of the boats, the dollars being spent, everything, typical economic development.
If I can expand on that too, and I know Doug's touched on it, the current conditions of the property are they're extremely poor. So the docks are in extremely poor condition. It's quite frankly a hazard in many areas, both environmentally and to the people that are utilizing the site. So the improvements would be significant, but this is also, I think overall, in terms of bringing in a brand such as Safe Harbor that does have a very strong brand, they have something that they need to uphold. So they're going to make this site a nice site, and I think that in doing so, like we said, Stony Point, there is a marina that is shutting down, so you do have the additional flow coming from that you're not taking from that area. But on top of that, I think the economic flow that would come from this area, if you were to bring it in this area, it's right below this is an opportunity zone. If there could be future development, if there's a nicer marina in the area, people could be traveling up. I know online, I read a lot of reviews online doing this application, and there's a lot of complaints with regard to what's available nearby, and I think that it could present an opportunity to build up that area along the waterfront of the village.
Has Has any of the other marinas in the New York area received IDA benefits?
That's something I would have to look into. I've not honestly looked into that.
I can add that, and again, I have to, because I realize this is public, so I'm trying to waver between what's considered confidential or something. I've talked to, also, I'm gonna sound a little cryptic, not intentionally, because I don't want to betray, like, private conversations on the, since we're broadcasting live. I've talked to various public officials from North Rockland, various part of, all of North Rockland, and the intent is to, again, I'll use the term, raise the bar as far as generating, making the waterfront more of an economic driver. And it has laid kind of untouched for many years. I know Harry Phillips said, their intent is they feel like it's an underutilized asset. So that's why that's prompting this. If you go farther north, there's multiple marinas that, the intent of some of the elected officials is to also encourage raising the bar to generate more activity down there from coming from inland to the river and from the river to the inland. So this is consistent, this plan is consistent with what's been discussed up there. I think that was cryptic enough with getting the message across.
Some of the improvements do also include, I know we mentioned that some of the docks were damaged during the hurricane. The wave screen that is existing on the site is going to be improved and extended, so that will provide additional protection to the boaters inside, as well as the improvements we're proposing to install on the site.
Just also, before we move on too much, just for the record, we do run a cost benefit analysis. Heidi ran the cost benefit. I double checked it, as well. Just so everyone's is aware, the local impact, the benefit is of what locally is being given up. I'm not including property taxes, since that's all new property taxes, since it's just, it's a 44-to-1 ratio locally as far as economic impact coming to this, because of this project. For every dollar we're giving up an exemption, in real numbers, they're projecting over the next 10 years, almost $55 million in economic dollars coming into the area because of this project, at a cost of about $1.2 million in taxes being exempted, and I'm not including property taxes. So I always like to have that on the record as far as what the cost benefit is.
Can I just ask a question? I know, Brian, I spoke to you about this, just because, this is right now owned by the town.
Yes.
I know there was a mention of a prior pilot, which I kind of spoke to you about. Question, how do you have a pilot when it's municipally owned? And then, so if you can explain, I guess, is it current, leasehold, a tenant, if you will, are they paying taxes, or what are they paying, if anything? If there's a lease with the town of Haverstraw.
Yeah.
The only reason why I asked, I just want to clear that up, because I know the application had some questions about, I mentioned a prior pilot, and I just figured, how's that possible?
Yeah. So,
Percentage of income?
yeah. So the current structure, I think I mentioned earlier, there's a structure where there's 3 different payments, and there's a flat payment that's made to the town. These are all made to the town. There's a flat payment that is paid. Then secondly, there's a percentage of revenues that's paid. And thirdly, they have this new parcel that was made. It's a pinpoint of a parcel that's in the middle of the water, doesn't have any area to it. It was made solely so that they can determine an assessment value on it, which is $1,575,000. That's currently assessed on that small newly made parcel that was made.
0.01 acres.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
maybe 0.0, maybe 0.0001. But they assess taxes against it. So the current occupant receives a letter that breaks down what the taxes would be based upon that assessed value for that year, and a payment is made to the town.
So there is taxes being paid on the property.
In a way,
Goes into a different bucket.
yeah.
Right, that's why I just wanted to clear, because we mentioned a pilot, and that's why it really wasn't a pilot. You're just kind of paying based on the schedule that was set by the town.
Yes. So I believe that 1.575. I don't know that that's ever been raised. It's being addressed in a way. It was discussed during negotiations with regard to the contract. I think it was raised as a pilot, which is why I made that comment. But that was a proper. So.
Just a quick question. When the property goes into private hands and gets exempt through the IDA, it's not just the town that would be a participant to the pilot, but the.
School district as well.
That's being considered.
Yes,
Have you agreed on an assessed value with the town on the property?
we have not yet. No. So we're currently in negotiations on that. We have full appraisals and Brian Kelly, we've retained, he's working with us on that.
And I saw your taxes, are there anything being paid directly to the school now, and as part of that payment, or no? It's just.
I don't believe so. I think it's going straight to the town. It may be I don't know how they're separating their funds once they receive it in general fund.
You're not paying, it's just going right to the town, there's no school district tax being paid.
Trust me, the town's keeping it.
No,
Doug, can you start again, please?
part of the payment is, I'll call it the tax bill that we received, does show to go to the school. Obviously, the payment goes to town hall. What they do with it after that, we don't know.
I do have, maybe this will help clear it up. I don't know if I should hand out what I gave you, if that's helpful, or if that'll cause more confusion.
Yeah, that's.
So I'll just pass this around on each side, but, on the third page of this is some correspondence that we do have, that includes copies of what is given to the current occupant. So if you go to page 3 of this, as well as page 4, we do receive letters from the town. And this is part of the confusion here is if you go to page 3, you do see that it does reference RE, Rockland County IDA, on this. So they have 2 separate pieces here. We have accounts payable. It goes to, we have, say, currently the occupant has to make payment of these amounts. And you can see the section block and lot number on here. That is the pinpoint parcel. That's the 0.01 acres that was created for purposes of this. And it has that assessed value of 1.575. Further into the package, you can see that there is a revenues piece showing the payment based upon revenues. And this is at the 65 or less % occupancy.
When do you plan to start this project?
So Safe Harbor is currently, if you've driven by the site, you can see that Safe Harbor is at the site. The project is, we've made application with the joint application with the DEC. The other component of this is on land improvements. There will be a structure that will be built on the site for boat storage, and then the additions that I mentioned earlier. The town is taking that process on themselves to obtain the approval, since they can rubber stamp that and put that through. But our client is going to be undertaking the actual development of those. So once they do purchase the property, we're still in the contract stage right now. I believe they're going to want to start building as soon as practical. I think at this point, it's likely to be more March at this point, given the fact that we're heading into winter.
One other thing, if I may, the restaurant. So you own the land underneath. So do they lease that land from
Yes,
you?
That's correct.
Okay. And what is going to be the impact on them? Do you have any idea?
We believe that it's going to be a positive impact. We're not going to alter their current operations in any way, but we're hopeful that in terms of doing all these improvements, that we will be generating more activity on the site. And if it's a more appealing site in terms of the way it looks as well, it's possible that we will generate more people from outside of the area that aren't even boaters coming down to utilize the site.
How long of a lease do they currently have?
I had to look into seeing what their lease.
And are you going to be renewing that lease, or are you going to turn around and give them options?
I
Will increase the rent on them?
I don't know that we've taken a look in terms of what and Doug can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe we've taken a very hard look in terms of what we're going to do on the site, but we do want to maintain that. To my knowledge, it's a good restaurant to have on the site, and we don't have any intention of getting rid of that.
Are they subleased? So the ground lease is by the town, correct? The town owns that property.
And then sublease
And the
to.
subleases to Safe Harbor?
So they are, so it would be a sublease to Safe Harbor currently. There's sub-subleases to the 410 site mentioned earlier, including the restaurant.
And just a question, because I know folks, so I know there's, you get the slips, then there's a pool also. In terms of, are any of these improvements going to affect like memberships with the marina in terms of, right now, I guess if you have a boat there, you use the pool, but then there's also pool memberships,
Private.
if there's private pool membership, is that,
I do know about.
I do know about, because I know people go there. So is that going to be affected by any of this or no? In terms of that's going to remain the
In
same?
terms of the cost or
Not- anything.
improvements?
Yeah.
I know that restroom improvements are a major thing that we're looking at doing. So that's one major overhaul that we'd like to do. Doug, I don't know if you're doing improvements directly to the pool itself. Is that part of this?
Improvements have been made over the last couple of years to the whole pool area. To the question of if anything could change relative to pool memberships, no, we don't anticipate anything changing. It's a little bit different than most marina operations, whether it's safe harbor or otherwise, because generally the pool is available only to marina members, but historically, that has not been the situation here. The pool is available, pool memberships are available to members of the public who do not own boats. And actually, the boat owners, if they want to have a pool membership, that's separate from their slip. And that's only, if we wanted to make this a pool available to all members, we'd have to shut down the public access because it would just be too many people. So in the meantime, we're going to leave it as is. We have no intentions of changing that.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
I'm recommending to the board that we table this and get some more information on this, because this seems like we're making a decision based on half.
You want to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, what are we taking?
I think we
Tabling it until we get some more.
we'd like to table it to get some more information, because it seems like and Doug and Brian, we're not looking to take away from you guys.
Yeah.
We just need to get some more information to
Understood.
see the benefits that are given are so we'll try, if we have to have a special meeting, we'll request it. So we're not trying to delay a project, but we don't have enough information on the project.
Okay, is there I guess before we,
What is your time frame on that?
That's why I asked you
Yeah.
before earlier.
but we're still in the negotiation process,
Okay,
so.
so that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just, please don't take this as a negative.
Oh, no, I
When you get some more information.
I'm just,
It's not uncommon for the board just to do this, because when you need more, they'll table it, hear it again, ask more information,
Yep.
so.
no, I've been through the process with other ideas, so I understand.
Okay.
So the,
Understood. I think I would just, if I may ask that, outline for Brian any specific information you're looking for, so we can provide that for you.
I was just gonna have that question.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll, I guess Steve will circle
Yeah.
back and.
Yeah, what we'll, and to think your point, what we'll do is, this is Steve Cora talking, I'll get a very specific detail of it, of the information we need, and then we'll forward it to you specifically, and we'll be very, and with timeframes and all that, and the intent being also that, I believe, again, if we can get these answers, I do know typically, and I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but we typically have our November meeting, we move up because we want to keep it comfortably away from the holiday, Thanksgiving. So we're probably really only looking at a couple week difference here, as far as like mid-November will be our next meeting.
And if that impacts your schedule in any way, just let us know.
Yeah.
We do have
Special meetings.
special meetings if needed.
We'll be more than happy to accommodate.
okay,
But making a decision on something that we don't have all the answers for.
no, I totally understand, I definitely.
And this is not a negative, like I said.
Yeah. I entirely understand. As everyone, I know there's a lot of confusion, is everyone clear, I guess, on the current structure of how this is? It's not a
Yeah.
pilot that,
Right, no, that we got.
okay, I just want to make sure everyone's okay on
That
that.
part we got.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
It's from there down.
I don't understand why there's a pool. They can just go swimming in the bus.
Okay, so what we'll do is, the board has made a motion to table it, I think,
We need to vote on
everyone's
that
in
motion.
favor in that?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And Brian, I'll follow up if there's anything in the board, I'll.
Yeah, we'll be very specific.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
And Doug, we'll get back to you. Thank you very much for your patience.
Safe flight.
I appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can stay for the rest of the meeting. if you
I think I got a couple other things I don't work on, but I wish I could.
Okay.
Take care,
We had that horse race.
Nice meeting you. Have a
Thank
good day.
So what I would request that each of us on the board just kind of circulate a couple of questions. And
Yeah.
let's be the point person, obviously. that gets
I'll
questions.
I'll initiate it, just so you remember, like, you know, so we're clear. I'll initiate an email to
And then we'll just go
everyone
back.
and just say, hey, let me know your questions. I'll compile them. I'll run them back by you, make sure that we're getting it, and then we'll go from there. Great.
Okay, any new business?
No, let's see what else. No, we can jump, if it's okay, we'll jump right to the, treasurer's report. Before we do the treasurer's report, there's one thing I want, every year,
I knew it.
sorry about that. Every year, we're required by the ABO, the state, to do a 5-year budget projection. And really what all it is it's an exercise in more just projecting out 5 years from now what we think our budget's gonna be, and kind of firming up our actual. And we have our bookkeeper do that. You can kind of see it. It's their process. I'll leave it at that this is what we have to accommodate. Just recognize that the numbers can change on an annual basis based, and our expenses are pretty predictable. What we don't know is revenues from projects 5 years from now. So we're just taking a projection. So I've asked the board if they can simply, authorize me to go ahead and submit this to the ABO and put it on the Paris.
You want a motion?
Yeah.
I'll make the motion.
Seconded by Raj. Roll call.
Okay. So, Tim
You
Riley.
can't handle it. Yeah.
Can't handle the motion. Okay, Raj Yamar.
Yes.
Howard Helms.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, then the rest of it is our financial reports.
So I would just like to point out that you have a low-key grill.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, that was sorry, there was new business in there.
Yeah.
This represents an example of what Low Key Grill is doing for us. They go out, they, kind of speaks for itself somewhat. Now, this is just the beginning, this is the open, we're just ramping them up.
Do you get this monthly?
Yes.
Then if you would, just keep it in our folder.
Yeah,
That's all.
Should be
right,
Yeah.
So at this point.
And you'll get it, as we're adding projects are
There's only
coming
one
on.
project that's underway.
I think he mentions the last page. No, he doesn't.
Press page.
Yeah.
And that was due to the timing of our resolution to adopt a labor policy and then rolling into now as we're closing projects, you're gonna start seeing more projects and as an aside, how we are structured, the cost of this, as you recall, is borne by the applicant, the company. And we have set up with Orange Bank, kind of an escrow. Technically, it's not an escrow. I'm gonna use that phrase a little loosely. Main account subdivided into each company puts an escrow dollar amount of projected costs in there. And as we're billed by Low Key Grill, I pull it out of those individual accounts based on, which company is generating what costs that we have to pay. So that way we can manage it.
You have multiple accounts?
One main account with multiple subcategory, like in theory, it's the labor policy, let's call it the labor policy account. And then there's company A, B, C, D, E, based on our various projects, each with their own escrow dollar amounts on the projected cost that we believe Low Key Grill is going to charge. And I pull out of there as Low Key Grill bills us for each of those accounts.
Now, how often do they go to the inspection?
Depends on the project, but there's a startup probably 2 to 3 times if it's a smaller project. If it's a larger, like the Manhattan Beer here is going to be an extended project, that'll be multiple times and there's more cost. So each, I'd say monthly, if not quarterly at the very least.
And from conversations I have with them, they're like
The
detectives.
Low Key Grill, always
Yeah,
Manhattan?
Low Key Grill.
Okay.
They'll go, if everything seems copacetic,
They take a longer.
if they smell something, they'll come back soon.
Okay, got it, okay.
With reference to the report, Steve, that they did in September, J&J has an asterisk next to it. You know why?
I have to find out. I don't have the answer to that.
J&J's the evidence. They include, I'm not sure. J&J.
There's a J&J concrete also.
they of course have the parameters on what is considered local labor. So that's a given. Ready to go to the treasurer's report?
Yes.
Okay. You have a, one CD that matured?
Yes.
Okay. We should get decent rates on that now.
Yeah.
Here, everybody has a copy. No, it's just a normal.
Yeah, just the board members I sent, just not, I don't mean to exclude council, but I didn't want to gum you up with stuff you don't really need. Figured you appreciate that.
We're getting our CDs from Orange Bank and Trust, right?
Yes.
What probably has one of the worst CD rates.
Yeah, we should really update that now, because you are, and are we officially allowed to put things in the T-bills or no? Short term?
Yeah, T-bills.
T-bills are coming at a very high rate now, like,
Okay, we can,
3.5 to 4.5%
okay, we can move them then.
for 6 months. Or if you go for a year, you probably definitely go all 4.5.
Well, we just, in fact, our Reac, I know we're not on a Reac meeting, but that just matured. I just pulled that out. That's sitting in our checking account.
Yeah, I saw that.
So, you know, we can use that and get right into right off the bat with that.
Maybe Tim should look into that. So, no,
I'm sorry.
we should look into the T-bills.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'll look at it with Steve, no problem.
Okay.
Is everything that you have, are the trust?
They're all staggered.
They're ladder.
Yeah, it's different ladders.
Yeah.
For different amounts, yeah. And we did that originally because
Yeah,
there was nothing else out there.
Yeah.
And we're really limited on what we can do.
Right. We're very extremely limited as far as what we can do, but we can do T-bills. Yeah.
Okay.
Even though the Port Valley investment didn't work out well for us. But no more.
No more pork belly.
The bacon is good. Go for it. We need a motion to accept this treasurer's report?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll
Make
make
a
a motion. I'll
motion.
make a motion.
I'll second it, thanks.
Okay.
Roll call.
Tim Riley.
Yes.
Raj Amar.
Yes.
Howard Hellman.
Yes.
Okay. And that, oh, the independent audit RFP, I have one RFP in, the rest are due tomorrow. And this is for our independent auditor. So as soon as we get that in, at our November meeting, I anticipate that I'll give you a recommendation, synopsis of the people that have responded, and we can make a decision accordingly.
Okay. Reading and approval of minutes.
Okay. Call to order at 9:05 a.m. Members Howard Hellman, Tim Riley, Raj Amar are present. Motion to authorize the ACG project, motion by Tim Riley, seconded by Raj Amar, all in favor. Motion to, this is under action item, motion to authorize the Cambridge Security Seals project, motion by Tim Riley, seconded by Raj Amar, all in favor. The inducement resolution for Safe Harbors Marina's acquisition of the Haverstraw Marina was next on the agenda for inducement. Representing Safe Harbors was Brian Sensabaugh, counsel, and Doug, I got to get his last name. I didn't catch it. I will get that off the application. One of the principals provided an overview of the project. The board may ask a number of questions about the project, including how many slips versus now versus going forward, cost of slips now versus going forward, other improvements, impact on the rates, impact, they discussed property taxes and current revenues, what they were doing as far as the restaurant, the pool, variety of subjects were discussed. Executive director brought up, just mentioned that gave the results of the cost benefit ratio, which would be public record. Following discussion, member Raj Amar asked to table the matter so that additional questions could be answered, and made a note of saying that the board would accommodate if there was a timing issue as far as a meeting, a special meeting if necessary. And the board all in favor of tabling the motion for the time being, with follow-up to be questions and follow-up questions provided to the applicant. Board the executive director provided an overview of the ABO's requirement of the 5-year financial projection. Following discussion, motion by Tim Riley, seconded by Roger Moore, to authorize the submission of the 5-year budget to the Harris reporting system in the ABO. I don't know, Howard, you brought it up, or Tim? I forget which. Low-key grill. You brought it up, right? Howard Hellman asked for a report on the low-key grill as far as the labor policy monitoring. The board reviewed it, and it will make them, going forward, every month it will be as part of the board members' package, low-key grill reports. Board reviewed the treasurer's report, and did direct the executive director and the chair of the finance committee to look into taking some of the CDs and converting them to T-bills if it made financial sense to do so. Board reviewed the treasurer's report, motion by Roger Marr, second by Howard Hellman to accept it. All in favor. And that's it. Did I miss anything? And I guess you need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, adjourned at 9:45. Okay.
React meeting? Yes.
Okay, so if we can go on, sign here, we'll deal with that next. Okay, the next, got to convene the Reac meeting. Everybody need a break, or are we ready to go?
We're ready to go.
Okay.
You don't have the right conversation.
Want me to bring them in?
Yeah, we'll call to order and then. I'm gonna ask you guys to, because it's a bond, I'm gonna defer to you to give an overview versus me.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming this morning.
And thank you for your patience. I know we kind of, timing got a little away from us.
That's my fault, because I thank you for everything that was late.
No, we dealt with some other stuff ahead of you, but again, thank you for your patience and waiting. So I guess we have to call the meeting to order. So
Please do, roll call.
Tim Riley, Raj Amar, Howard Hellman.
Here.
Action items. We have first, the first matter of Northern Manor Multi-Care that has been tabled. We will consider that at a later meeting to consider reinducing that project under Reac versus the IDA. But right now we haven't heard a response from them unless something's changed. So we will deal with that at a later meeting. Our next matter is the inducement resolution for the congregation. I'll kind of back off. And I'm going to defer to council, or bond council, and what we do, I'll ask them to just give a very broad overview, then we'll defer to you to kind of give your overview.
Let me introduce ourselves.
Yes,
over
okay,
here.
please.
We're representing the congregation of Reac as a girls' high school. Mrs. Bernay is the principal. I am one of the founders. I guess this is the president. Rabbi Weingarten is the executive director. We'll tell you a little bit more about the school, but at least you know who we are.
Thank you. Okay, and I'm Steve Porth, I'm the executive director.
I didn't tell you who I am, Morris Zach, I'm okay.
Okay. So Dan or Ron, if you guys want to give kind of your, an overview, and then we'll defer to.
Sure, I'll go ahead. I'm Dan Birmingham. I think we met on a Zoom call, and you know my partner, Ron Grosser. The congregation has submitted an application to Reac for application for the issuance of tax-exempt bonds of $14 million to fund the construction of a girls' high school at 607 Route 306 in Muncie for a girls' high school. You currently have a high school site that you are renting, and they want their enrollment has been going up for the last several years. I think it's 400% or 800% has been increasing over the last several years. And they have an application before the board, and there's also a draft inducement resolution before the board for not only the issuance of $14 million in tax-exempt bonds, but they're also asking for mortgage reporting tax abatements. And any further details about the school, I would defer to our guests today.
Okay.
And any questions from the board, of course.
Well, we'll tell you a little bit about the school, and then we'll have some questions. Ms. Renee.
So the school was founded 5 years ago. I have been in education for the past nearly 40 years.
Started at 4 years old.
I've been a principal for almost 20 years. It's my passion. A high school girls principal. Not only am I a principal, but I continue to teach. I'm in the classroom, and young high school girls, teenage girls are really my passion. 5 years ago, this community is growing by leaps and bounds, and we started a school. We had 19 girls. Henceforth, the following year was 28 girls, and the following year we opened up our first double class, parallel classes. Currently, we have, 5 years later, 185 girls in the school, double classes, parallel classes, 9th through 12th grade. It's the environment in the school, even within the community, is recognized as something that's extremely unique. It's a very warm and embracing environment. I will share with you that we were approached 2 years ago when we still are a fledgling school, but it's already considered in the school as a very established school because of our growth, thank God. And so 2 years ago we were approached that there was a group of girls, young girls, developmentally disabled, developmentally delayed students that are chronologically 14, 15, 16 years old, but developmentally they would be more like a second or third grade. And what would be very beneficial for them is instead of being in their own school, that they should be able to be mainstreamed so that they have their own classroom. And yet, when they are part of activities, whether it's prayers or whether it's performances or whether it is celebrations and parties and activities, they're part of our school. And so there's another very precious 5 young ladies that make the enrollment not 185 but 190 approximately. And it is such a joy to watch how they were in the performances. And not only is it something that's a joy for them, but it's a joy for the other girls, because I watched how my senior class, who were obviously the leaders, for example, with a performance. Last year, every year we do a performance. So we did a performance. This year we're planning on doing an RCC. A number of years back we did an RCC. It's so important to the girls that even when RCC was not really open because there were residual COVID restrictions, we rented out Sportorama, that whole complex. We made it into a theater, and we had a performance. 1,000 people watching the performance, and I watched how my 12th graders took these girls by the hand to take their bows at the end of the performance. I had tears in my eyes. So the environment is extremely embracing and very, very warm. And at the same time, it also has a very high academic level. The girls are extremely motivated. As an objective litmus test for that, I will tell you that last year we took Regents. I don't know if you're familiar with the different classes, the different courses in Regents. Chemistry is the hardest. It's not like chemistry and trig are the hardest. I had a few girls scoring 100. Well, that's unheard of. That is unheard of. I had a few girls scoring 100. Lots of 90s. Trigonometry, though they call it today math too. I'm aging myself when I call it trigonometry. Also, I had a few hundreds. Top scores. The girls are motivated. They're on. They're caring. They're future leaders. If you'd be interested, I brought some pictures for you to just get a look. There's an incredible combination of, I say that we combine serious and fun. We can have the girls go to Lake Welch Beach. But the reason that they went to Lake Welch Beach and had a blast playing on the shore is because they had to read books, because we have a book club. Because I'm a big believer in books, and I don't mean like as in reading just like that paragraph and then scrolling to the next page on Kindle books. I'm talking about a book. You got to read a book. When you have vacation, like having to go into vacation, okay, read a book. It's a good time to read a book. Just get off of the screen and read a book. And they read a book. Everybody that reads a book goes to Lake Welch Beach, and the whole school went. The whole school went. So it's an incredible. It's a place that's not just a school. I really feel like it's building the future.
I can go ahead. I went, two things I want to say. I was invited to a weekend. They had the girls go for a weekend. The relationship between the students, the relationship with the students and the teachers, the relationship with some of the parents is not to be believed. It was so, I'm really getting goosebumps. It was so beautiful. It was just so nice, so warm, and very special. About a year ago, the first graduating class, we had 19 kids. I was there, the back is, so I was there with one of the parents, and that parent's daughter was the she got the award, what was that?
Valedictorian.
Valedictorian, but they're all, it was very difficult because they were all, but she was the valedictorian. And we were watching, and when she spoke about it, she was crying. She was crying about the relationship she had with the teachers and the relationship with the school and with the other students, and how terrible, how could they do this? This is her own. For 4 years, she was there when they first started, and she's leaving it. How could she possibly? She was crying. Her crying then caused that every single girl on the stage at that time started crying. It was just, so the father too, I almost myself. But this is something which is so warm. I'm not gonna say it's unheard of. I went to school, I still have some relationships with my high school guys, but not this kind of relationship. It's really very special. And of course, when we really started growth in a major way, we asked Rabbi Weingarten to come on board, and thank God, because without him, it would have been almost impossible. And that's the next stage is where we are.
It's a delightful picture at Lake Welch Beach, that was good.
Where's your school now?
On Route 59.
Where?
Route 306. Route 306.
Route
59, I'm sorry.
133.
Come on, get it straight now.
133 Route 59. It's like across from Augusta, past 306 on 59.
Okay.
The left side.
The new school is going to accommodate how many students?
250 is what we
Right.
have as on.
They haven't done it no more than 250 because she wants to be involved with every single student. When a child comes in, she interviews that child, but meets with the family too. So they have to, because that's what she wants, a certain mode. So therefore, it's hard for her to have more than 2 parallel classes or 250 students to have a good feel with every single student. So that's why they,
Given your growth rate and the way you're growing, I mean, 250 is going to be done probably the end of this coming year.
you're right.
Some of our donors actually pushed me on this, and I went to Mrs. Burnett. Mrs. Burnett said she doesn't have room in her heart for more than 250 kids at a time. So
It's
you
not,
could take
it's not a
something like that.
factory. You know, when you're producing clothing, you say, wow, we're doing great. Let's double. Let's just tell the machines, put in twice as much fabric and twice as much production, and let's make more money. I'm not in the business for money. I'm in the business for kids. And I can't have them in my heart and in my head.
So, given that you can take 250 students and you might get an application for 500, what are you going to do with the other 250?
So it's an application process. It is an application process. And you have to apply to the school. And
Is there other schools in that area?
yes, there are. It's actually, there are a number of schools, quite a number of schools.
Where on 306 is this? I just,
This one?
Yeah.
Right before 202.
Can we see the plan?
The new one, the new school?
Yeah.
Before 202, New Pomona Road.
okay.
So it's a 2.5-story building. You probably can't see it on there, but
Those guys down there don't know what they're looking at.
Correction. The property's on a slope, so the basement, the water table is very high. The water table is very high, so the basement, outside from the basement, the outside
This
is
is the
square.
management.
Okay, that's the outside. The front, the basement. This is the
Have you
basement.
had traffic studies or any of that done
We
yet?
did have studies, yes. We had-
Where are you with the, I don't know, what village is this?
This one,
Pomona?
You were approved in Rambo.
Under Rambo, we're approved already.
Okay, you've gotten all your.
Yes.
Okay.
All approved is done.
Where's the end to the ground?
So we'll put it, here's, this is. 306 is what,
306.
right next to Pomona.
It's hard to describe.
Yes.
Another about across the street.
Yeah, it's town around it, because I remember I was there at the meeting when you guys were approved.
So,
So I was-
an example.
Yeah.
It's a traffic light there, yes.
So here's 306, this is the parking lots in front. Here's when you walk into the building, you see this here. This is the main entrance to the front. The backyard here is a preserved wetlands. So we hope it's gonna stay that way. That beautiful backyard for the kids to play in, whatever kids, older girls. And when you come in, this is all glass, the back is glass also. So you walk in, you see the big open hallway. These are the offices. So here. Auditorium, gymnasium, the stage. Hopefully we're not gonna have to rent out RCC anymore. We're gonna start making it here. That's the plan at least. Science lab, computer lab, the library, bathrooms. But the main part of the school is the second floor. Renee made a condition when we first met the architects that all the classrooms have to be on the same floor. She wanted that everyone should be able to come out into the hallway, all 8 classrooms.
Where's the elevator?
Elevator is right here.
Okay.
I see what you're talking about. Okay. So here's the 8 classrooms. Break room for teacher, and then also, how do you say mechanech classroom in English?
It's a homeroom teacher.
Okay. So
8 classroom.
it's 4 grades, 2 classes each. This is each class is their own homeroom teacher. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on the first floor, 4, 5, 6, 3. So we're going to go over to her, the first floor building.
First floor, They just get retired if they go this year.
And extra flex classrooms, these are for like, math classrooms.
Differentiated instruction, which is how we've managed the girls to do very well, because there's accelerated chemistry and there's basic chemistry.
Math, now you have
And math.
3 math classes.
3
4
levels in that
yeah.
class.
And then the basement is only a half a floor because the water table and because it sloped down. This is the backyard. This is the front of the building. There's a dining room, lunchroom, art room, and the storage room.
And then you have access to the wetlands from the basement?
Yeah, it's a walk-out,
Basement.
you walk straight out of the office, yeah. There's a glass
There's a
staircase in the
buffer.
back.
The part of the narrow back where the girls can be is not really wetlands yet. It's our property, but what's nice is that it faces, first there's a buffer and then there's wetlands. You look out, it's beautiful. And from any place in the building, you can look out, the whole back is glass, and you just have this expansive, beautiful environment to look at.
In the front of the back, they'll put picnic
This
tables and walking areas.
architect to the school on New Hempstead Road.
I'm sorry?
This architect in the school on New Hempstead Road.
No. But we did show it them. But we did show it them, because we liked it.
But this is the other direction. So it's actually, when you drive in New Hampstead, you see it's very expansive. This is a little bit more unobtrusive because it goes towards the back and it's a little bit more set back. So it happens to be, even for security purposes, you won't notice it so much when you're driving down. It's like not there in your face. I figured that was.
They also know it's a condition because it's the scenic corridor over there. So that's what they require us to look more. Right.
Yeah, no big deal. You don't have a site plan. Where's your parking? Everything's in the front.
There is a fire apparatus access road on the side.
How many parking do you have?
Do you remember from the meeting?
That I do. Do you have variance parking?
What is
Do
that?
you have a variance for?
No.
No, you.
No, not
The
there.
space is enough for the parking, isn't it?
Yeah, for the regular state school, yes. We were trying to get more for things like when parents come at night for meetings and performances, that's what.
Yeah, and just full disclosure, the only reason why I know that because I was at your meeting when another client of mine was working on an application, you were in front of me, and that's when you got your final. I just happened to be there, so.
What is your timing? I know that it's one of the reasons you want to be on this agenda was because you're anxious to move forward. So maybe you can give the board an overview of your timing on the project to right up to when you want it completed, ideally. You
So
know.
we're trying to get on the ground, to start with a foundation permit, and start with foundation in December, within about a month and a half.
Good luck with that.
Thank you. Which part, getting in then or getting the permit?
All of the above.
Everything. Yes, sir.
That's what we're here for.
When do you want to occupy? That's a better question.
We just signed the lease for where we are now,
You want to occupy by March?
No, I say we must, yes.
Oh,
well,
hopefully
by the next.
So you're good to
That's
go
a very
next year?
aggressive,
This year and next year.
Oh, so you're, okay. Now, when does your school year start? I'm just curious. September. Okay, so
It's not this year, not next year, the following year.
So 2025?
So this would be
24.
24.
September
Not this-
2024.
oh, not this
September
next
24,
year.
yeah,
Okay.
24. Which we've been told that we can do it.
You have a whole leeway there,
Yeah.
because September doesn't count, right? With all the holidays.
We gotta get in there before.
I say hello and goodbye.
The staff is busy then. Everything has to be ready.
Not easy, that's what we look like. But no, we're very comfortable with the with the engineer, the architects. We did a lot of work over there. We put a lot of pressure on them. We're waiting, I guess, to get the permit to get the foundation permit that goes, we get it, we go into the ground. He told us that we can have it done within 14 months, he told us, something like
The
that.
builder says 14 months to do this. Foundation permit is pretty basic, just one page. But the architect said they're not willing to give it until they're done with all structural engineering.
You gotta go
and
site
check
plans.
print and all
We
that.
didn't cut costs, didn't cut corners. And that's why it's taken us so long. I'm very quite aggravated. For almost 2 years, I think, that we went to contract or we bought.
And we have weekly meetings with the architect, working at every detail, both obviously that it should work with local permits and functionally that it should really work for the school.
Did you have a kitchen? You don't have a kitchen? Or is it just like a little,
You're
I mean, that, well, down on the first floors, we
No
have.
kitchen on the first floor, girls can cook from home. We don't serve lunches.
Yeah.
Question, I know sometimes we overlook it when we're talking about, schools and such, like, now it seems like obviously you're very involved in the students, like, it's very hands-on. Could you talk a little bit about your staff and any plans? It sounds like since you're growing, you're going to probably be adding staff as well. Could you talk to that a little bit?
Absolutely. Our staff has grown exponentially. Our support staff in the office is constantly, as Ray Weingarten joined, so we have a full support staff in the school of receptionists and secretaries and administrators that have served many different roles. We talked about that your school starts in September. I'll tell you a little secret. I work all year long. Summer is the busiest time. And one of the biggest things that I do in the summer is, I always feel like a human resource director. I design everybody's role so that anything that comes up, whether it's as simple as who has to reorder paper clips or copy the papers, or who has to deal with a sensitive issue, or who has to call for an office meeting because a girl just got diagnosed with diabetes, and I have to make everybody in the office aware and designate at any point in time of the day that if she comes to somebody, if it's morning, somebody in the morning staff, it's her point person, or in the afternoon. So everybody has a role. So there's many different people with many different roles. That's just office support staff. And in addition to that, there's teachers. We have an exceptional staff. And one of the reasons that we have an exceptional staff is the schools that have been very professionally, and we're very appreciative of our staff also. We've got a.
And we pay on time. Very important. Because of that, we have direct deposits on the first of the month. And because of that, teachers know they're gonna get paid, you're gonna pay on time, and therefore they come to us. The best teachers come to us, you have room for me, etc.
I have teachers applying around the community that are interested.
Well, we have now over 16, about 60 employees.
Do you expect an increase?
It's gonna be.
Their application represents that they're currently at 60 employees, that over the next 7 years, they'd go up to 74.
Okay.
That's what the application represents.
Obviously, a guesstimate, but.
Yeah.
And going into new building is gonna need more people around and more things come up.
Very, very well received by the community. I think we have support from the leading rabbinical authorities there and members of the community. Difficult because there's a tuition factor and there's a budget factor that has always been a concern. But Lord willing, we've been fortunate at this point. We've always had it to continue on.
Your application also states, I believe you're also accredited by the New York State Education Department.
Yes. That was big.
Yeah, the regions, yeah.
That was a big job.
Okay, let's get down to numbers. if I may.
Go ahead.
Um,
Right, checks, guys, yeah.
How important is the mortgage tax to you? And the reason why I say that is that the bond issue, personally, I don't have a problem with. I do have a minor problem with the mortgage tax because it's a county fund, stays in the county, et cetera, et cetera. How important is that to you?
How much is it? I'm not familiar.
2%, I think, 1 point, how much, you have the dollar amount, Steve?
1.05%
Yeah.
of the mortgage tax
Of the mortgage?
Mortgage, yeah.
that we can exempt.
So
So
it's
the
over
mortgage, assuming a $14 million bond issue would be a $14 million.
Right, the $14 million bond issue is
I
the,
think we discussed the 14 million, right? We
Right.
suggested you
Makes more than
project conservatively high.
25,000.
You don't know what-
$25,000.
That's
25.
That's with the mortgage tax.
That's
No, it's 140.
No, that's,
Am I reading?
yeah, it's supposed to be.
Guess I called the right
He's got
person.
no more job.
150,000 approximately. You're right. You're 100% right. Between 140 and it's 1.05.
So let me tell you, we're gonna be able to raise, to pay everything back. We're gonna have to go to donors and every penny is a struggle. I'm already out there in the field trying to raise it
I'm
and
the
it's-
wrong person. To me, I look at the whole picture. And $14 million is more important than $140,000. I don't want anything to stand in the way.
You see the two pieces. On the other hand, he's thinking every single penny. He's got
if
to,
he wants to write the 14 million, then we'll be good. But
140, all right.
we need that 140 for the.
Well, one thing I will tell you, you have a crazy passion about your students and your school. And from what I'm hearing from you, and I see the passion you're talking, probably are a perfectionist too.
oh.
And it's 147,000.
That's about
So just
140,
wanna make sure.
150, yeah.
What is this?
That's very.
That's a chimney. The chimney.
That is
Oh,
a,
yes, it's a lift.
that is a lift. I have
Because I was-
more than one student that's in a wheelchair, yes.
Because I was gonna bring up that the
Yes.
stage should have handicapped
Yes,
accessibility.
absolutely.
It's one student. We just put a lift in another part of the building.
Any other questions, gentlemen? Hearing none?
Yeah, I really appreciate coming together because.
Just a second.
We're so excited.
Don't overdo this.
Yeah. No, this is what I said. I just want to, just move.
Anybody want to move the motion? Raj?
I'll second.
Tim, second. Roll call?
Tim Riley.
Yes.
Raj Amar.
Yes.
Howard Hellman.
Yes.
So you were induced with that. So congratulations.
Congratulations.
That's the initial approval. What will happen now is we will schedule a public hearing. It'll be in the municipality where the school is going to be. I'll give you plenty of notice on that. You are not required or expected to be there. It's simply an opportunity for any member of the public to provide written or oral comment to us. So it's a one-way conversation. It is not a forum for you to have to present the project or even answer questions. So that's why I say you can attend if you'd like, but you're not obligated. Following that, then, we will have, the board will consider an authorizing resolution, which is the final approval. And really, the authorizing resolution really reflects if there's some public comment that makes them pause or have to think about it. But, the authorizing resolution is very similar to the inducement resolution. Once that's, let's presume that that's passed, really at that point, I'm getting out of the way completely, giving it to the councils and your financial folks to go ahead and go forward on the closing process. And that's where I always encourage everyone to communicate very closely, based on timing. I know you're looking to fast track this, so.
The attorney that we've used at this point, that I think will keep on there is David Asher.
Okay.
David Asher is from the communities, he told me he's familiar with this situation, and I think he has some relationships with some of the towns, so it's something we can expedite it and.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Just
Yes.
one footnote, I don't want to brag on Tim's behalf, but I know he was holding back, but
He actually scored 100 on the math. First time 30,
That's how we
second
got
time
it.
40, and the third time 30.
I'm missing a math teacher.
Oh, he's great, and he's coming back to school.
But he took it 3 times, so collectively.
Oh, that's what I said. I got 30 on the first one, 40.
I'll have to take your number because sometimes I need help in math. I need an extra math teacher. Thank you.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Nice to meet you all. Wish you a lot of luck and everything.
Okay. I'm just gonna walk out with them. Yeah, I want to do the financials. Pretty straightforward stuff.
Go ahead, do the treasurer's report, so we can get out here with the rest of you.
I don't think I have it. You have a copy?
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing, I think we're, 2 checks are normally accounted, and, our attorneys, other than that. And we do the same thing with the CDs, I think there's one that's coming due, but I'll review it. This one, I don't know if we're gonna be able to put on the T-bonds only because we need the money. But yeah, that's basically it.
Motion to accept the treasurer's report. Motion by Raj, seconded by me, all in favor? Okay. Independent audit, the same as our IDA meeting,
Same
we're
thing.
waiting for the proposals, reading and approvals of the minutes.
Okay. Call to order at 9:49, and the Northern Manor was tabled. The inducement resolution for Congregation of Yakov was introduced. Council Dan Birmingham provided an overview and then deferred to the applicant to provide a more detailed overview. They discussed a variety of topics, from size of the class, going from they started 19 girls down they're up to 185. They will limit it up to 250 students. A variety of questions when they were going to start, and some of the other elements. The board reviewed the plans of the site, asked a number of questions. With no further discussion, motion made by Raj Amar, seconded by Tim Riley, all in favor. Board reviewed, there was no new business, no old business. The board reviewed the treasurer's report, adopted it. Motion by Raj Amar, seconded by Tim Riley, all in favor. Board mentioned that the independent audit results will come in and will likely be reviewed at the November meeting. That's it.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay, if you could turn that off, Heidi.
We accept the minutes.
Yeah, we accept it.
I accept.
Where were you? Actually, I never do that motion, you know why?